Mic check, 1, 2, 3. Mic and music check, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can hear my voice. Can you hear the music? Music should be pretty light. It just ended songs, so it was transitioning. How you doing, Jack? Welcome back. And here we go. Oh, my camera isn't working. Weird. Oh. What the heck is going on? You can hear me, correct? Oh, there we go. Camera's back. Okay, I just had to reset the camera. Tech gremlins causing issues this morning in a variety of technology around my house. You can hear me? Good. Glad you can hear me. Good morning, everyone. Hope you had an amazing weekend. Sorry for the late start. Atlam kind of alerted our Discord, but for those that aren't aware, I was just having some minor technical issues with my internet this morning. I tried restarting it, nothing was going on. I called my ISP and they sorted it out. So. Anyway, thank you for being understanding as we started a few minutes late. How was everyone's weekend? Erica, Jack, Atlam, Chim, how was your weekend? Let's talk about it. So for those that are just tuning in, my name is Mac. Today's stream is called Mapmaker Monday. During Mapmaker Monday, we focus on building a map live for you to watch, follow along, share thoughts and ideas towards the build. This is going to be a temple ruins, which I'm going to work more on the ruins today, and I also want to work more on the temple shaping. I wasn't quite finished at its current state. Easy, been taking it easy. You know what? That's awesome, Chim. Honestly, this weekend I had a lot going on. Did a lot of stuff around the house, a lot of yard work. We got our Christmas decorations up, most of them. I still need to put up our lights on our house, which is like the last thing to do. But our Christmas tree is up and got some gifts under the tree and, you know, just vibing, hanging with the fam. It's trash day today, so I had to get my trash out yesterday. Pretty boring weekend. The highlight of my weekend was cracking my neck so hard it felt like my shoulder, felt it from my shoulders to my fingertip. Now I feel better than I have an entire month. Dang, Jack. You know, sometimes, you know, like popping your neck or back can be very relieving, especially like if you're experiencing like a pinched nerve or tension, you know, and it relieves it. Some people say it's psychosomatic, but I'm a firm believer that adjusting your neck and back in the proper way can feel really good. Rev, welcome back. How have you been? How was your travels, my friend? We've missed you around these parts as well. So I'm thinking of adding like a little like towers in these corners here, right? Because I could just do some more like temple ruins here. And they have like little spires on it. Yeah, the roof type were still to be determined. It's interesting that I can't. Oh, I filled that. That's right. I couldn't remember to. Question: should I put circular spires up on the top one? Because I could do it like this. What do y'all think of that idea? Stand by. I just noticed that TikTok isn't actually streaming right. I'm going to refresh. Okay, there's TikTok and there's Steam, so we're all good across the board. Heck. Why did that delete that whole space? Oh, that shouldn't do that. That's weird. Ah, that's why. No, that's the right floor. So no windows or doors on this, just walls. Why did it delete all that? On this floor. That is very confusing. That one didn't do it. Just found a bug. Leave it to me to find a bug, huh? Let's try this one more time. Okay, generating it with floor was the thing. It deleted all the floor. So, Rev, a combination of things made me decide to move on to a new map. The cemetery isn't finished, and I'm going to finish it in my own time. There was basically a bit of internal pressure to start doing projects that are shorter, more achievable in 3 to 5 streams time or less. And additionally, there was that map had been taking so long, and I didn't realize how big of a project it was going to be when I started. I definitely bit off more than I could chew with that map, right? And as a result of which, I have opted to move on from that map for the time being. I may revisit it if I don't get time in my personal life, but I honestly think what I'll end up doing is just kind of working on it, here and there in my free time until it's done, at which point I'll upload it. Sadly, dude, it just... Yeah, exactly. Working on it 30 minutes to an hour a week, a map that scale just isn't tangible in the long run. It's fun, it's beautiful, it's an amazing map, but it's going to take till past the new year to finish, probably into February or March, and I just don't want to make our community wait that long. I've moved on to this new map to build something quick, short, concise, that can be done, inside of a month and released to our community. So this particular map isn't very big. This one's a new one. I only started it last Monday. It's 60 by 60. I'm just going to focus on the temple and maybe 1 or 2 outlying structures. So that's really the main focus is this. The cemetery. Here, let's just show you. It's 85 by 82. But there is hundreds of, over 1,000 graves on it, I believe. I'm going to just load it up really quick so you can take a look at where we're at. And I love big maps, big detailed maps. And I think, that's not a problem normally, right? When it's on my own time, it's not a problem. But when I'm using the community's time to build a map, I think it's probably in the best interest to do maps that benefit people watching. They can learn from them quickly and, that's done within a month. Shlomo, how you doing? Welcome back. I just need to add some happy little graves to this map. You know, since I have that Bob Ross costume, I should wear it more often. I am strongly considering wearing the Bob Ross costume again, the one I wore during the Halloween month, during October. I also have my kind of like alchemist hobbit costume I could wear. So either or. Okay, so here's the cemetery. And just to kind of, this is where we're working on currently. Yeah, well, I did this park during the last stream. There's more space for graves. This was kind of like unfinished, like area to add graves later. But this is like, these are child graves moving into pauper graves that are just like going on and on and on. And then you get into like the grave sites for like the priests, priestesses, martyrs, paladins, clerics, etc. Over here you have the royal kind of grave sites, some more kind of just pauper graves. But this thing just goes on and on and on. 85 by 82. Started it before multi-level was added. I've added in the multi-level by hand. All of it's done off the grid, meaning I didn't really use the grid to my advantage. My favorite part is over here, the caretaker's cottage. Nothing wrong with doing some swamp maps, man. We need more swamp maps. And the thing is realistically, I've only put like 30, 40 hours into this map of work time. You know, for a map this size and this detail, that's pretty normal. But it's spread out over, you know, a Monday a week for over a year. So I think people were getting bored of it. A. B, I wanted to move on to subjects that we could finish quickly. Same with, you know, our team. So I think it's a good idea. It's still cool to look at, and it will be finished at some point. And if I can work on it in my own time, that means I can get a lot more done. I just need to find a day and sit down and work on it. Because I could probably bust out, you know, an entire section in an evening and then move on to the next one instead of like, oh, over 2 months I bust out a section. But if you look at it, there's just hundreds of graves. Many of which I put in by hand and decorated by hand. I really wanted it to feel like a massive ancient cemetery, spanning quite a few generations. Honestly, you could probably run a whole arc for your players through there. Like if you do milestone-based leveling, you could probably run a whole milestone through the cemetery and then be done. Like, I'm glad you learned a lot about it, Shlomo, like during that map, because yeah, there was quite a bit to learn. This is looking really cool. But I do want to make it feel more abandoned. I think this pillar I'm going to break. Like, it'll be gone. And it'll just be like rocks and stone nearby. So I'm going to actually remove this room. What we're going to do is select the edit room tool. Delete that room. Not sure why it didn't get rid of the walls. And then we got to fix this floor. What was it again? It's okay. I really need to start favoriting the floors I'm currently using. I believe it was in artificial, abandoned or ruined. Yep, that's the one. What is going on here? I'm going to just edit this room to be, well, it's the same already. Then I really just need to delete that and change the floor, but why is it a separate room? I'll just add this part to it. There we go. That fixed it. Yeah, exactly. I knew what I was doing. I just was kind of backtracking through everything. I promise you. This is technically a room, not a roof, so it behaves like a room. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do like a freestanding wall here. I'm gonna go to structural, and I'll find some of these like abandoned walls that are breaking. One of these. Something like that. So some of the wall is still here, right? But the rest is crumbled down. The writing on tombstones should be in Fun with Objects too, which is launching, I believe, after the new year, is all I can say at this point. Don't even know if for sure if it'll be just right after the new year, first quarter, or who knows. It could take longer than that. You know, that might be a good time to add more stuff to it, you know. What I could do is get a list of jokes for the graves. I've been kind of wanting, once those graves come out, I'm going to go through and change a few of them to be, like, written on, too. So, dang, so many changes are going to need to happen with that. Does this look like it was one of these pillars and then it crumbled? Shrink some of these down so they're not all huge. "'Tis the season" is just like a phrase that people say around the holidays. It's part of a song. "'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la." So it's from Deck the Halls, you know? Anyway, it's just kind of going around the month of December, winter, holidays, that thing. You know, I didn't realize the reference might be lost on some people. A lot of people still just say "'tis the season," you know, like when it's a busy winter. "Deck the halls with boughs of holly, fa la 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 la. 'Tis the season to be jolly, fa la 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 la." Oh, cool, John. By the way, if it's hard for you to pop in, I mean, you can ask questions right now during Mapmaker Monday. There's no question segment today. It's just all AMA through the stream. But if you do have questions for our Saturday segment, you can drop them in our Discord or our social media, and I'll add them to our list. And then when I do that stream, I can answer it and send you a clip. So if you're not like present, you still get your answer. Okay, so we've got pillars on this one and the edges. I'm going to do the same thing over here, and we'll have one of these be broken. I really like these additions, by the way. This one's a little broken. We can lean into this one being the broken one, but I like it on the front, so it's easier to see. This one will be kind of broken. This one will be way broken. That's what we'll do. I'll use the wall removal tool to get rid of all the walls. Maybe. I'm also going to change that floor. I should favorite that one. Favorite. Okay. I don't know why I'm doing this. I just am. What's the difference between this and Tailspire? That's a good question, actually, Lucky Saint. You know, Tailspire is a great program. I don't see it so much as competition, more than I do see it as complementary. Dungeon Alchemist, I've heard from many different consumers and people in our community and outside of it, tends to be a little bit easier to use, i.e. making maps. And that's its sole purpose, is making maps. So Dungeon Alchemist isn't really intended for gameplay. Tailspire does have built-in VTT elements like dice rolling, character control, stuff like that. So it's a map maker and a virtual tabletop, where Dungeon Alchemist, its sole purpose is map making and taking like immersive screenshots or video. So you can build at a 3D level, get intricate design. You can even add tokens and take screenshots from their perspective or video. You can record looped videos for virtual tabletops. So we offer exports for print. You can order prints, you know, through anybody you want, really, once you get the digital files. So you can take them to a local print shop, or we have a partner called Kraken War Games that makes mats and ships them out to you. They're like water-resistant, scratch-resistant game mats made out of neoprene. You can export the maps as digital files for virtual tabletops. So online play through like Foundry, Fantasy Grounds, Roll20, Above VTT, and others is supported. So instead of being limited to one tool, you can use it with pretty much any tool. So the other thing, comparative, is you can also export, or another thing you can do with Dungeon Alchemist, because you can export as digital files, you can use them on like TV tabletops as well. So you essentially can play however you want. You're not restricted to just one service. Does that make sense? Unfortunately, though, our maps are not compatible with Tailspire in any way, and Tailspire, same, is not compatible with Dungeon Alchemist. So it's kind of its own thing. Separate entity that does its own approach to the same thing. Anyway, Bruce asks on TikTok, we are fighting a lightning dragon in the desert. The passages will be glass walls. Can DA do this? We have several walls that are glass. Let me show you a couple of them really quick, actually. Well, there's mainly the greenhouse walls that are glass. I think you want just straight, like it melted the sand into glass. Is that what you're thinking? I don't have anything like that at the moment. What we do have is like these glass walls. They're like iron with glass on them. We do have iron walls. We have sand and plaster, like different ones like this. Stone of all types. I don't think we have anything that's actually like a melted glass wall. That would be an interesting take for sure. That would probably be a job, yeah, for our abstract objects. So we have these objects in our object menu called abstracts, which are essentially customizable objects. That or our Steam Workshop integration or the asset importer. But these act like a wall, but then you can insert custom imagery into them. So technically you could like make a graphic that looks like glass and insert it into it. That's one way to do it. Like I've made custom walls using this tool. Let's see here. Like here is like a door with like a round porthole. It's like metal. And this was all made like in like a little graphic designer on my tablet. Yep. Well, what you could do is place this wall, the green one, all throughout your design, right? Everywhere you want it. And then when you add this image the custom one to one of them, right? And then you do Control C, Control V, drag it across, and it adds it to all of them. So technically you only have to add it to one and then just make sure the green walls are present wherever. That being said, on the workshop as well, there's an asset browser with over 11,000 community shared assets and the ability to import your own assets. So if you have the ability to do any kind of 3D rendering or design, you can actually make your own 3D models and import them into Dungeon Alchemist. That being said, though, Bruce, you know, you would have to either make a graphic to insert into that green wall or make a 3D model or source one, and it's not necessarily straightforward. When you place this object, though, there is a little icon on here. You can click that. That actually opens up our website, and it shows a bunch of templates for all of these different objects. This one's actually for that wall. Notice when you look at this image, it's a square image, perfectly square all the way around, but the inside where it's green, that's the safe space, kind of like the stencil spot where it's safe to put in graphics. Notice it's labeled. This is the top, this is the side, this is the bottom. Look, think of this like an unfolded cereal box that you like cut one side and opened it and laid it out flat. Does that make sense? A cereal box is a tall rectangular object, and then it has the same amount of sides as this. So essentially, this is an area showing you, hey, this is what the top of the wall would look like. This is the side profile of the wall. This is the bottoms. This is the front and back of the wall. So you would put this in a graphic editor, and this image is 1024 by 1024 pixels. That's very important, because if it's bigger than that, it won't work on the template. So you essentially insert a graphic into here. Anything outside of this green area, you can leave it as blank PNG, like dead space. And then everything inside of this area, you have to think of it third dimensionally. This is the top of this side wall, and this is the bottom of that side wall. So if you have logs running like vertically, then it would be the top and the bottom of the log. Or in your case, glass, it would be kind of clear with maybe cracks in it or something. Dungeon Alchemist breakfast cereal Remy would be hilarious, actually. Alrighty. Yep, you can do the same with the floor. The customizable panes. There's two different ones. One's that's actually a floor tile size and one that's larger. So you can cover 4 tiles at once. These are actually really cool. People use them to do like magic circles and blood and other things on the ground. Because they're customizable, you can insert JPEGs or PNGs into them. You can pretty much do whatever. Let me save this map. I'll show you another tool that might help you out. Bruce. Let me save twice. Always be saving. Got to do your ABCs. So the asset importer On the other end of this allows you to import 3D models, which can also be like a wall, you know? So when you import an asset, here, I'll just do one from one that's picked. You can set the object type, so a basic object, or maybe it's going to be a wall-mounted object, or snaps to the side like a wall, so you can have it act like a wall when it snaps. Pretty neat. So you can give it different properties. You can make it a token if you imported it if you want. That being said, once you've imported an object and you give it names, keywords, you can set properties for it, configure which categories it'll show up in. Will it show up under the walls section? You know, or, you know, does that make sense? Will it show up in, anyway, kind of neat. Then you have colliders, which are like the invisible box walls for it that tells Dungeon Alchemist roughly how big this is and how objects interact with its space. And then lastly, you can share it on the Steam Workshop or just keep it local for yourself. Anyway. The asset importer allows you to, if you can sculpt 3D models or create them in any type of tool, CAD, whatever, Tinkercad, Blender, then you can bring them into Dungeon Alchemist and use them however you see fit. Excuse me. Go back to that map. Are there glass walls in the workshop? Let's look. There's some like plain glass panes, but he's asking for something that like a dragon melted a desert cave and it became like scorched glass on the walls. Does that make sense? So that's kind of distinct from like just very nice glass panes. There is a bunch of glass stuff on here though. Broken glass shards could be helpful, you know, on the ground floor. No worries, it's over in TikTok chat, so it's easy to miss if, you know, if you're over on Twitch and you didn't see what happened. And that block of ice could probably work. You see that, the way it's shaped? Yeah, the ice might work. Some of the crystal stuff might work too. You know, you could use like a hodgepodge of crystals and ice stuff and it probably would work. You know what, though? Let me show you one other thing I just thought of. Just thought of something, Bruce. This might actually be even better. I'm going to open a new map, okay? And we're going to do a cave map with... Actually, no, we're not going to do a cave map. We're going to go to No. Where do we want this to be? Snow will make it work. Okay, we're going to do snow, and we're going to do cave system. Trust me on this. I know it seems weird, but it will work. We're going to turn off the snow weather. Yeah, I was thinking maybe we could do ice and make it seem like it's glass. Hear me out, okay? In the snow biome, there is ice, right? And you can use it to paint a cave. What you would probably want to do, hit it with the white first, or even the dirt first. Like something that just kind of fills it in really good. And adds like a little bit of dust to it. Sadly, snow is not available in every biome as a paint. Neither is ice. So you have to kind of use where it is. But that kind of almost looks like glass too. Not gonna lie. An ice cave might actually pass for what you're thinking. Like, doesn't that look pretty close to like shards of glass? And if it was a desert cave, like sandstone that was melted, this would pass 100%. We could also add in like little bits of like lava here and there. Just stuff like this in the cave. And fire effects and stuff like this. So I was thinking to myself, this could probably pass for a glass cave. If Bruce, if this is acceptable to you, this is going to be the way to go, my man. Oh, and some lighting too, for sure. I think just adding a little bit of dirt to the bottom or the snow first, though, when you fill it in, it allows the ice to be more prevalent. Watch what I mean. The ice tool kind of has breaks in its patterning. So I like to paint over this stuff with something else first. Notice how it kind of spreads like spray paint, right? Instead of like... I guess if you stay in an area, it fills in pretty good. Here, let's try stone. See what happens if we do it over stone. I'm going to try a few different combinations. Oh. I don't know. There's a few different combinations that it could look just so much better, you know? Why is this brush not being strong all of a sudden? There we go. Yeah, if you hit it with that dirt first, the ice seems a lot stronger and it looks more like glass. Anyway, I think that's probably going to be the approach, my friend. It is a little bit of extra work, but man, this will look way more natural than the previous method I was telling you. So what you would do, oh shoot. My TikTok stream just froze. Let me refresh it, getting back into chat. Then what you're going to want to do is go into like our lighting tool, and you could grab these abstract lights. These are invisible lights, and you can change their color. What that means is they come in, basically they'll end up being like invisible on export. So you can just add light to the environment, but then the light itself is no longer present in the exported map. Little bit of red. I don't know. Different colors can really help, but essentially they're invisible lights when all's said and done. So what you're going to want to do for this is you open Dungeon Alchemist to a new map, and you're going to set it to digital at the size you want. Set the terrain to snow. That's critical because then you get access to the snow paints in the terrain palette. Then create a cave system. Set no vegetation unless you want some in there, but honestly, it'd probably be easier to put in desert vegetation yourself. And you'll probably want two maps, ones that leads to the entrance of the cave and one that's the interior. So you have an exterior desert and one that's the interior, right? Anyway, you generate it like this, and then you're going to want to go through and hit the whole area with dirt first, like I did, and then go over it with ice. Then it gives that really kind of glass feel. You can paint on this, Blue Mage, but if you do that, it gets rid of the wall on export. Bruce, are you exporting for virtual tabletop? Are you printing? How are you planning to play? To Foundry. So these dark areas at the top here, right? Just keep this in mind. If you edit this too much or make it like slanted a little bit with the terrain tools, like if you smooth it out, that kind of breaks the wall, and your players might be able to see over this ridge in Foundry because it doesn't act like a solid wall. So be careful when you're using the cave tools. You can definitely edit the ice on top to make it look like this. They probably won't even see this area though, because at the end of the day, it's going to be blacked out to them. Anything beyond these little ridges here where it's dark on the top becomes a wall in Foundry automatically. So it'll actually generate all the walls for you as well for this cave system. But honestly, I think we've nailed it as far as like a cool, like, because that's exactly what like volcanic glass looks like shards. It's more dark, obviously, you know, than this, like, but I would imagine the glass made from a dragon wouldn't be quite as like the same as volcanic glass, right? Notice when you put it on the black there, though, it does kind of have that kind of volcanic glass look. So you really have a few options if you want at the end of the day. You could do it on a darker kind of palette. You could do it on the white palette. Really just kind of mix and match until you're happy with it. Hey, Anani, we're teaching Bruce over on TikTok a suggestion for how to make a cave look like it's glass. That a dragon, might have turned it to glass by breathing in it excessively. So like a sandstone or a desert cave turned into glass. Bruce, I hope that helps you out. Best of luck to you in your endeavors with your map making. I hope your players enjoy it. If you don't own a copy of Dungeon Alchemist, just letting you know, we're going to be on sale in 3 days on the winter sale. So you could save a few bucks if you wait a couple of days, put it on your wish list. And Bruce, if you need more assistance or guidance, feel free to hop in our Discord. When we're not streaming, it's the best place to get information about Dungeon Alchemist support, ask questions, get guidance, etc. That looks really cool. It definitely looks like igneous rock with some glassing on it. I like it a lot. You kickstarted DA? Well, thank you for your long-term support. Dang, you've been around with us forever. Wow, Jedi, that sounds cool. So you got the IR grid working on your table, so when they move their tokens, it like moves their line of sight on the screen automatically? That's what you're setting it up for, right? We've got people on 6 different platforms watching us right now. So we're live on Twitch, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Steam. Honestly, Remy, because we've been streaming more and more on other platforms, we're actually starting to pick up on them. Like right now, we have like 12 viewers on Steam. We have 20 on Twitch. There's like 5 on TikTok. TikTok varies because it's algorithmic based. So people only see it pop up on their feed when they're browsing at random. They don't get an alert that it went live like other platforms do. Facebook, we usually get a few 2 to 3 viewers on average. YouTube, 5 to 10. It's starting to pick up on every platform, though. Some days we'll get up into the 70 to 100 viewers across all platforms. I'm not too worried about the numbers, though. I'm just here to help everyone, Yeah, Twitch goes up and down at random because people come and go. But like I said, I'm not really focused on the numbers of it all. Like, it's nice to know that there's a good amount of people watching, but at the same time, it's really not that important to me. I'm just here to make sure that, everyone here gets their questions answered, learns about Dungeon Alchemist, and, understands it better. Let's get back into the temple. So, for those just joining in, we're building this ancient temple a little bit at a time. It started as a base floor in the jungle. So I picked the jungle biome and I sunk the building down when I generated the structure. So you can draw a structure, right? And before you generate it, you can rotate it and you can raise or lower it, right? So I sunk it down into the water a little bit, into the floodplain. And as a result, it flooded the room. I love that. Oh, yeah, was it the guy with the mustache? What's his name? I'm trying to remember. Power Word Spill, right? Yeah, he's done a couple videos about us. Yeah, lurking is kind of broken, I think, and I don't care. Lurkers can lurk. I'm not going to call them out or make them talk when they're not comfortable or can't. Maybe they're at work, or in a meeting, or maybe they just left their computer on when they stepped away. That being said, some people don't really feel comfortable joining the conversation, and I am totally respectful of that. Twitch deciding to track viewer metrics based on activity, that's their decision. If they want to hurt themselves, that's their own prerogative. People are here watching and supporting, regardless of how interactive they are. So, yeah, it bothers me that Twitch does that, but I don't care. Like, that's really just something that they decided to do. I have no influence over it. It's a bummer. Are there plans to not have assets appear on lowered floors when they're lowered manually? Meaning you can see below and see the area it is? Man, I'm not 100% certain. There's so much complexities with multi-level, right? And it adds so many different things to consider. I think there are some things we're just going to have to learn to live with. Maybe at some point they could come up with a way to make other areas invisible to other areas, but I think ultimately that is really only visible from like the downside, right? Looking up. Oh, or you mean like when I'm underground, this stuff shows. That's what you're talking about, huh? What it would be cool is if there's a way to have like an asset, if X% of the asset's collider is over floor 1 or in floor X, then it only shows on that floor. So if it's like over 70% of the asset, it's invisible on the other side or something. Because clearly you wanted it in that room, right? And Gotcha. I understand what you're looking for, man. Honestly, there is a lot of complexities to this because, and I'll tell you, the devs, like when we first started working on multi-level and testing, I pointed this out to them. Hundreds of objects were showing below, and I'm like, this never was a problem before. Obviously, we couldn't see below, but it shouldn't just show all these objects, me lowering them 1 millimeter. And so Carl went through and adjusted parameters for things, saying like, the bottom of the collider is where it, instead of like, okay, wall 0 and floor 0 used to be different things. So like objects on the floor, their bottom was 0, right? But an object on the wall, where it was centered on the wall, that was its 0. It didn't have a bottom of its collider. It didn't need one. But now suddenly, when we get into new territory with upper levels, lower levels, wall-mounted objects started showing below in lower levels and upper levels for no reason. We had to figure that out. So I still think there's a few outliers that tend to have issues where they show it regardless of where they're placed. And there are obviously exceptions where you lower it manually, raise it manually. But I do think we need to come up with like some kind of clever solution to either say, hey, I want to hide it on this floor, right? So you're visible on that floor and you just click the hide button and it hides it on that floor. And when you're on the next floor, if you click hide on that floor, it's invisible. Or if X amount of it, say 80% of it is in another room or another space, then it probably should consider it. That's where you want it, right? Chaotic Goblin, thank you so much for using Dungeon Alchemist and for the continued support. Do your players like it? That's what I gotta know. Do they like the maps you make with it? Let's keep working on this broken pillar thing. Thank you, Island Last. I started working on this one last week. We've made some serious progress so far. How are you doing today? So I'm going to have a broken pillar here, I think. Let's do, instead of this wall, we'll do this wall. And then I'm going to have some stones and detritus down on the ground beside it. Need it under the lily pad. Come on. You're making your campaign, so you're in preparation for your campaign. That's fantastic. Pedro Miguel asks, how do you use the string like the ones for fairy lights? I'm sorry, what do you mean use the string? Do you mean these effects? You know, technically the last episodes of Stargate SG-1, the last episode is a movie. Okay, personally, I never was a fan of any of their finales because they always left them way open-ended, right? They never were final because they never knew if they were being canceled. You have Mobius where they, you know, end with the fishing and then the pond has fish. So they're like, wait, we're not in the right place. But then they finally went fishing, right, as a group. And then you have the ending where they essentially, you know, are stuck in the ship with the Asgard database for years and years and years and finally recycle. See, I don't count either of those as the ending. I count the movies. There is, I think it's Continuum is the final movie. And that one's pretty good. I think it's Continuum. Okay, so I got to make sure I get this question. Pedro Miguel, how do you use the string, the ones for fairy lights? Can you give me an example of where you've seen this? Did you see it in someone's map? Like, I know of a map with a string of lights in it. One moment. This string of lights is actually used on the workshop quite a bit. So like this is an object on the workshop that is just a string of lights. I'm assuming you may be wanting something like you have two lamp posts and you wanted a conduit between them. Is that what you're saying? What happened to all the... Isn't there like a light that's like an artificer light? Or it was like a alchemist light? Do you remember that one? I could have sworn it was a pole mounted. Here, I'll just put this one. So I'm assuming you just want a string dangling between that? Or you're wondering where this is? This is on the workshop. It's called String of Lanterns. So if you go to the Steam Workshop, go to Browse Assets, String of Lanterns. There's a few of them on here. So if you go to the Steam Workshop tab within Dungeon Alchemist and click Browse Assets, and then just type String of Lights. There's quite a few in here that'll pass for that. So you've got some Christmas lights, some lanterns. Anyway, hopefully that works for you. I love DA. My players like the look, but my laptop needs more power to build bigger. I get that, man. And DA, honestly, in the last update, it kind of got, you know, it's a bit more of a resource hog than it ever was now because of multi-level. Instead of having one map that's 40 by 40 when you have 3 levels, that's now 3 maps because you have the top level, the middle level, you know what I mean? So it stacks them together like a, you know, like a cake's layers. And instead of, you know, just the one top layer of sweetness, it's all of it. And as a result, it does take a little bit more oomph to run Dungeon Alchemist than it used to when you're building multi-level. I do know this, Dungeon Alchemist's like size and complexity of maps you can make is directly proportionate to your PC specs. So the more powerful machine you have, the more powerful or more intense maps you can make. But yeah, DA could use some optimization, some fine tuning. I've talked to our lead dev about this, and he agrees that there are some areas that we can increase performance. You know, I actually got some interesting information from him about DA. So I was told and under the impression, and maybe I just misunderstood when it was explained to me the first time, that DA, you know, doesn't use all of your cores for running, you know, the various aspects of Dungeon Alchemist. It only uses one of your processing cores. That's only half true. It's actually smart in that it only uses your single cores for certain tasks, and other times it uses more. So it's optimized in only using certain ones for certain things, I guess, was the explanation I was given. So that's good to know. So technically it does use hyper-threading. It uses all of your cores. It's just situational. Yeah, that's a smart way to do it. Technically, you could use something like this, like our connected pole. This pole here, when you place 2 of them, you can link them together. And then you could just string lights along that, and it would be, you know, pretty cute. So technically, you can make your own fairy lights if you wanted to. See, I could have sworn these alchemical lights used to be on a pole, too. Anyway. But yeah, we could hang like these. Shrink them down a little bit. Change their colors of the candle. Change the color of the light. So this gives you a lot more control, but it's manually done. One thing you can do, James, to really help your performance when you're running Dungeon Alchemist on a machine that, you know, you can't really upgrade or change, if you go into File Settings, change your quality of graphics from, you know, high or medium to low, and if you can adjust your resolution to a lower resolution, say you're running in a 4K or a 2K resolution, try running it in 1920 by 1080 instead. Still high def, but much more reasonable on your GPU as far as requirements. Next, if you go up into here where it says view, you can disable natural animations. Notice the water has kind of a bit of a trickle to it, and trees, some of them, not all of them, some bushes and stuff, they have a bit of a sway to them. I don't think any of the jungle canopy does. Anyway, when you hit disable natural animations, all those things freeze. And that will actually help you squeeze a few more frames of performance out of your... That's another thing too. Lowering your frame rate either in Steam or in your graphics card tool can help as well. So like if you have an NVIDIA card in your computer, you can open up the NVIDIA app technically and set like a frame rate limit for the various aspects of it, right? Some graphics cards allow you to do that. Steam also allows you to do it. So in Steam, if you right click on your game and go to properties, okay, under general, you see these things called launch options. So you can actually tell DA which monitor to launch to, because I have multiple monitors and it tries to launch to my primary screen, which isn't the one I'm streaming on. I set it manually to a different one. And you can also set an FPS limiter. So I use this code to limit my FPS to 60 because that's the max my screen can do. So it's kind of pointless to go above that, so I might as well not try. Can someone share that with James over on YouTube, please? Atlam, can you post that code over for them? That will limit your FPS. You could set that to 30 if you wanted even, and that will help tremendously. Chaotic, yes, of course. You can put your own personal artwork into Dungeon Alchemist many ways, including paintings. Paintings is actually the primary way we added that. Many of the paintings, not all of them, some of them have art that we commissioned from like artists in the D&D community, like this one here. So it can't be changed, but many of the other painting frames, you can actually insert custom images. So you could put whatever you want in there, an image of your party, you could put a document in there, like a declaration. There are other things you can insert your custom images into as well. There are like notice boards. You could put like a wanted sign or like a quest up on the board. You know what I mean? So that same document on the board looks a lot more cool, you know? A map, really whatever you want. Very cool in that regard. And there are objects called abstract objects. You can place them almost anywhere on the map and put custom images into them as well. People use these to put like magic circles or, you know, custom icons, graffiti in their maps, Easter eggs, signatures, stuff like that. Dungeon Alchemist is all about personal customization. Like you can generate a map in moments using our room generator and environment generator, right? It's about speed if you need it, setting up your maps in seconds, or rolling up your sleeves and diving in and making everything exactly the way you want it. It's the best of both worlds. I think I'm going to put a bit of this kind of over there. So today I've added all these pillars so far, which I like, and a bunch more rocks and things falling. I think the temple, as far as an abandoned temple, is starting to come along, but I want more of it broken. Thinking maybe a wall in the front here. Michu, this is Dungeon Alchemist. It's a map making tool available on Steam. It allows you to build maps, you know, for fun, cathartically, as an artistic expression, whatever. But also its primary use is for making maps for games like Dungeons and Dragons or Pathfinder. The maps can be exported for use for those types of games, but at the same time, you know, like there's several people in our community who use it like Sims. They just build maps for fun, cathartically, and as you know, just a way to relax and unwind. We offer a free demo on Steam so you can kind of try it out. It allows you to build a tavern in a forest. Pretty fun. Welcome to the stream, by the way, Michu. And thank you for that follow. Okay, so let's continue making this seem more abandoned. I need more plants, right? I need more moss. I need more vines. Let's do that. Shrink these vines down. Seem like they're growing up this. I am not the dev. I'm the community manager. This is our official channel, so I do work for them. Communicate with them regularly, part of the team. My name is Mac. It's nice to meet you. I stream pretty regularly. We stream twice a week, Monday and Saturday. Mondays is called Mapmaker Monday. We build a map live, and our community can kind of tune in, follow along, ask questions, and learn, make suggestions for the build as well. And then on Saturday, we do a stream called the Dungeon Alchemist Mapmaking Show, or the DAM Show for short. When you save a map in Dungeon Alchemist, it's saved as a .dam file, which is our proprietary file format. It stands for Dungeon Alchemist Map. You know how there's like JPEG and GIF and MP4? That's our file format. So anyway, so we kind of lean into that by saying damn a lot on the show. But welcome to the stream. If you have any questions, concerns, feedback, suggestions, that's what I'm here for. So glad you have it wish listed too. We're actually going to be on sale for the Steam Winter Sale on the 18th, so very soon. Mounds of dirt on the roof of the... Oh, I like that, Rev. I like that. Mounds of dirt on the roof of the tree growing. Nature, life finds a way, right? Life will find a way. I'm stoked to use it to make references for fine art. How do you plan to do that? I'm curious. Let's hear about that. Pile o' dirt. You think I'm joking? No, that's really what it's called. Pile o' dirt. Let's go into the nature tab here. I'm a watercolor artist, but I struggle with environments, so I think I'll be able to build my own. Oh, so you would build the environment as a reference point for your paints? Oh, that's brilliant, actually, Michu. That's cool. And that's a very unique way to use Dungeon Alchemist. That's super cool. I don't see why not. And the cool thing about it is you can build the environment custom and then just make the adjustments you need in the watercolor if you need just some subtle little changes. That's really cool. Yeah, Michu, there is a tool in here that's the cinematic tool right here. The cinematic mode. You can go in and it has like a drone camera. So you could get at any angle you want. Down low, up high, inside, whatever, you know? Here, I actually got to find a way in. There we go. And then take screenshots or video. Yeah, you can go way far out if you want. Additionally, there's another way to get a camera. You can drop a token in the map. which you could use them as like scenery or whatever. But you can also drop a token and walk around in a first person perspective. So you could get it from like, you know, eye level. I was thinking of adding like a croc and some other fish eventually for sure. You can see at different angles. You have like top down, flattened, right? You can make it a 3D perspective, or you could choose whichever angle you want. You can also hide the UI, so you could just take screenshots with your computer at, you know, using your regular screenshot tools. Anyway. Honestly, Dungeon Alchemist is one of those tools that a lot of people spend a lot of time using that they didn't really intend to. Because it's just so diverse in the things it can do, and it's very fun. Need some more of these dead vines here. These ones are fun because they're just mixed in with all the others. Just feels like old growth. So the cinematic toggle is up here in the corner here. Cinematic mode, is that what you're talking about, Jack? So up in the top right corner is a little camera. You just click that. You could also, I believe, hit, is it O? Yeah, O goes into it as well. There's a hotkey for it that's not listed on it. It's O. No problem. Oh man, Tiny Glade is such a cool program though. Like they did such a good job with that. Mad respect for Tiny Glade. Also Minecraft, like iconic program. Like I mean, arguably the most popular game of all time. It you know, I think we give you a lot more tools to kind of customize, and we're adding even more tools soon. So for those just watching, I'm sure a lot of you are interested in Dungeon Alchemist development, right? And how it's going. I'm sure some of you are interested in our upcoming update where we're adding the ability to rotate objects on any axis. Currently, you can only raise and lower and rotate on the single axis, but soon you'll be able to flip objects. But notice how intuitive it is. The cheese is actually changing its angle automatically when he rotates it, and it clips through it. So it's like we're working on it, trying to make it make sense. Hey, Belladonna, welcome back. How are you doing? It's not abandoned, Anani. It's just full. I need to make a new one. It's got as big as it can get, and most people can't load it if they have a generic machine, like an average machine. So what I think I'm going to do is I'm either going to break it up into multiple maps or have a multi-level map that's like a multi-tiered, you know, sort of dam challenge museum. If I do revisit that, of course. It's not necessarily that it's like I've abandoned it or moved on. It's just that one has like 80 entries in it, and it's pretty full. Have you seen what Wim's been doing? Like getting all MC Escher? with like stairs at different angles and stuff. So yeah, we're going to have a lot of freedom in our next update to do pretty much whatever you want. Right now, you have plenty of freedom as is, but it's going to be going from 10 to 11. Rip, Rob Reiner. I'm really sad about that, actually. But seriously, Dungeon Alchemist is like so full function now, but once you can rotate an object on any axis, it's going to be amazing. I can't wait to see the kit bashing you guys and gals do when we roll out this next update. It's going to be fantastic. Oh, I love this. Love it. This is coming along good. We got a bit of destruction, few towers, some walls broken down. Let's show you what it looks like inside on the second floor. At the moment, this was going to be like an altar and also like a spider den. I also need to make a way up here, either an external staircase or like an internal one. And I wanted them in matching positions. So I'm thinking, 2 staircases. One here, one here. And then they come up to this area. You know, we should have a tree coming out of this one here. I need a thinner palm. Let's do this one. Life finds a way. Yeah. It's crazy how Ian Malcolm became such like a prominent character. Granted, he was like the main like protagonist in the Lost World books. Unfortunately, the devs made the choice of having all the roots, and so you would see them like in caves. It's very cute, but we need non-rooted trees or an option to turn them off. Like click it and just disable the roots. That would be the best. The best option right now is just hide them or use a tree from like the workshop that doesn't have them. I personally, I love them for caves, but that's the only place it should show, not anywhere else. They don't export on lower levels. Nice. It's good to know. It's just like eventually, if you're in a first person view, right? This is really the only time it's problematic. These roots might peek through on like these lower levels, like that right there, right? That looks pretty cool though, like in an abandoned temple, like the roots are just doing their thing. Yeah, they really only show up in first person, so that's the only time you need to worry about them at this time. I would say it's definitely it's annoying, but it's not something that's like game breaking per se. Build is coming along very well, Polaris. How you doing, my friend? Welcome back. They're kind of niche, right, Belladonna? Like in a cave system, that seems cool. In a ruined temple, cool. But in some places, it's not really useful. I agree. I concur 100%. Let's add some more moss. I don't have enough moss on this. Put some on the front here. Mixed in the sides. And up on these edges. Moss. Oh, I love it. Love it. You know, I once played a Spores Goblin 2 and I had a clever name. What was it? Let me think about it for a second. I think it was something stupid like fungi or something like that. It was a play on the fungus name, but it wasn't fungi. I can't remember it. It was a play on it, but it was better. I don't remember the name of the character because it's been so long, and I don't think I have it anymore. Nope. What was the name? Let me think for just 1 second. It'll come to me. It was like the name of a fungus. Or a mushroom, something like that. And I can't remember. I played it into a name. I got to think about it for a minute, though. Man, I can't remember it. It was so funny at the time, too. Oh, my talk, Andrea. That's what it was. I was a plasmoid circle of spores druid. That's what it was. I just remembered the name. So I was a plasmoid, right? So I looked like a cell, and I was doing all the circle of the spores stuff. So I was the powerhouse of the cell. Everyone's like, not as funny as you said it would be, Mac. Well, Mary Poppins, y'all. Yeah, she's cool. I think this is looking pretty good, though. Starting to look more broken and abandoned by the moment. What do you think? Alrighty. Let's see here. We got about 20 minutes till we wrap up, and I'm going to run a little bit longer, so probably 11:15 just to make up for the time I was out. I'm going to have moss coming up to the top too, like this. Growth is going to be all over this thing. That's kind of part of the way you can tell it's, you know, it's ruins and abandoned is because of all the excess growth. That's a good question. You know, I can't see your name, or I'd say hello. It looks just like an underscore, like a really long underscore. So I'm going to call you underscore. Okay. Quick question: will there be any support on being able to have custom terrain brushes? I'm not sure at this point. I don't think so. Though our terrain brush system will likely get an overhaul and an improvement at some point. So I've been told by the devs they want to readdress it, make it more fluid, possibly unlock all terrain paints on any, terrain, make it respond better, etc. That though, I don't have an ETA on that. I've just heard that's something they want to do. Essentially, the terrain brush system we use, from my understanding, is like a module that's available for any Unity developer to use instead of a custom in-house one. So they may want to change it from the current design to an in-house made. So it's just a little bit more custom and for our needs. Trying to think here out loud, sorry. Along with this same lines, though, there is a new tool being released in our next update that allows you to kind of place textures almost anywhere, almost to the extent that you could call it terrain. The decal tool is what it's called, and it's essentially, it allows you to insert custom imagery. So one of the decals available is like footsteps, another one is leaves, there's some that are like cracks and spider webs, but they allow you to paint that imagery onto any surface, whether it's flat or the wall, the ground, you know what I mean, an object. So you could essentially make a terrain brush that you import into the decal tool and cover the entire ground with it, in a sense, when this new update launches. That being said, it's not going to be, nearly as probably as quick or intuitive as the current terrain tool. I really haven't heard the devs say they're going to be adding like a custom terrain option, at least, in my time with the company. So it's about 4 years. If they did do it, it would be kind of a surprising thing that I just didn't expect, is all at this point. Yeah, it is kind of a bummer that there isn't a moss version of each of these walls. The decal tool will also solve that problem too. I mean, I could just paint on a bit of moss and call it a day. You know what I mean? No more need to do this stuff, but I like to do it, so I don't mind. To me, this is fun. Yeah, they definitely want to try and tackle the terrain tool and make an improved version of it. So I'm hoping at some point we'll get just a better iteration of it that'll be, more fluid, maybe even allow you to import custom images to use as a terrain texture. Who knows? A lot to be determined before then. Hey, thank you for the follow _ appreciate it. T-Rex shaped footprints. Hands numb. See you, Mondo. Have a good one, my friend. Okay. So now we've got stairs going up to the upper floors. That looks good. Well, what about Mom's spaghetti? You only get one shot. Okay, what other things can I put on it to help it scream abandoned? Obviously, more growth. I plan to add some more growth around the edges and the backside on these ledges here. I'm just trying to get ideas for next session. We have a broken hole in the ceiling. We could probably add another. Yeah, we could do that. Maybe this one over here that's already breaking, or... I'll probably just put some broken stones there or something to make it seem like something happened. Broken pottery, bird nest. Love it. We definitely have some spiders inhabiting the second floor. They probably wouldn't be at home on the first floor as it's wet. Jeez, Jack. Goodness. I need some plant life in here too in the water, right? Especially because there's like a broken whatever, right? Weird, the brush won't let me paint flowers on any other levels. Excuse me. is this fish upside down in its image? Look at it. Am I crazy? It's upside down until you touch the... Notice that? Oh, one of its animations is a dead one? That's funny. Nope. One of its animations isn't dead. It's just still. That's funny. Jeez, that's big. See, what you need to look at assets when you're downloading them from the workshop. That one's a monster. 200 megabytes almost for a single asset. That's a bit better. 5 megabytes. He's been eating good. Lots of adventurers have been coming through here. A lot of people don't realize the size of the assets when they're downloading them. That's why I insisted this was added when we were adding the Steam Workshop. For the size alone is huge. You want to stick with assets that are like, 5, 10 megabytes or less usually. 25 megabytes is usually the highest I'll download an asset. There's this guy who like 3D printed his like a whole car, right? Like aside from like the frame and the engine, like the body of it, he 3D printed it. So he like designed and printed like the body of like a Ferrari basically over the frame of this car that he built with his son. And when people are like, you wouldn't download a car, he's like, I would. Oh, the croc is a token. This is amazing. This is gonna... I'm a croc. Hey, where's those fish at? Croc Simulator. Meow. Later, alligator. In a wild crocodile. Man, I haven't thought of Altered Beast in so many years. That sound was like ingrained in my head, though. Rise from the grave. Rise from the grave. I really only put 2 crocs on here. Little baby one, and then a larger one. But we're making some progress on this. I'm really proud with what we've done today. Quite a bit of work. Wrong crocs, Anani. Are we there yet, fam? Is it looking pretty good so far? Love it. Press publish. I think I'm going to do some finishing work on it next week, and then we'll be done. Some braziers, some other stuff. I feel like these torches were added improvisationally, like whoever came in here. I also want to balance the lighting out, add some abstract lighting and stuff like that. A little bit more decor, a little bit more detritus. We're going to get it there. It's coming along, though. Notice that. Random lamp. more plants inside, both the top and bottom floor. I could do that, but it's down here, like underneath in the water, so it'd be kind of pointless at this point, you know? Thank you, Chim. Thank you, thank you. It was a good stream, wasn't it? I mean, if I was going to do a pit, I'd probably just do one myself. Make like a hole and then fill it with spikes. Pitfall. Right? Alrighty. It was an amazing stream. I think we got a lot done today, actually. The temple here is pretty much done. I'd say next week we're going to do some finishing touches. Some more plant and animal life, some more dirt and random stuff here and there. And then, yeah, we'll publish it probably after next week's stream. Oh, Stemple, that's you, Bruce? I am glad that we found a solution that was, you know, agreeable to you. I think that ice cave probably was the best one overall because it reminds me of like heat formed natural glass, like igneous rock or, you know, natural glass formations. You know those big pieces of glass they sell at like little like tourist trap stands on the side of the road that like all the rock places, they sell tons of rocks and gems, and they'll have like those big huge clear pieces of glass have tons of cracks in them. That's immediately what I thought of when you were talking, at least, and that's almost pretty much what that looks like. Sometimes the glass is a little bit greener looking, but it really just depends on what it was made of. So, and at the end of the day, you could probably even throw like a green light filter on and get that same color hue. Bruce, I hope that helps you out, though. Seems like a fun way to solve the problem. Yeah, the lighting either from the abstracts or if you just put a filter over the entire map that's like greenish or a different color, it probably would help tremendously. The blue is the only thing that makes it feel kind of icy, right? But these invisible lights, either as a green or just filtering the whole map as green, would help tremendously. Or whatever color you're looking for, really, you know? Like, I've never thought of using the ice cave as a glass cave. And of course, that's the first time I've been asked for a glass cave. My brother's calling, but I'll call him back after the stream. Those eggs are like a permanent part of this nest now. I can't get them out. I think I need a light on this second floor that you can see above. Here, let's turn off the light in this. I'm sure you can see it out. Can't see barely any light in there. That's what I'm saying. A light in there would make it like pop. Some kind of lamp, lantern, something. What is that from? Those lamps on the lower floor. I'm gonna lower them down. Definitely less prevalent. So irritating that it seeps through that little bit of crack below. It's like there's a slight crack here. Yeah, I was thinking of that too. It's just frustrating, you know? Still even visible in the ivy. We'll figure it out next week. I'm going to wrap it up for today. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out. And I'm sorry I was a little bit late due to technical difficulties. I appreciate you all so very, very much being patient with me. This is coming along very well. I'm very excited to wrap this up probably next week or week after and then share it with the community. If you have any questions or concerns related to Dungeon Alchemist that we didn't cover today during the stream, feel free to spin up a question thread in our Discord, or there is a new section in our Discord that I shared just recently. Let's see, I just made a new section called The Damn Show, or Damn Show Questions is what it is, right? Let me share that link. If you have questions that you would like asked on our damn show or the Dungeon Alchemist map making show every Saturday during our question segment, you can ask on our social media or in our Discord in the appropriate dated thread, and I will respond to your question in kind on stream in the order it was received. So if you cannot tune in on Saturday, but you have questions, support, feedback, suggestions, whatever, you can let us know in Discord in the appropriate thread. So I have one dated for the 20th, one dated for the 27th. By the way, our guest on the 20th is going to be Asmodeus. Our guest on the 3rd is going to be Wim. I'm going to put up a stream question segment for the 3rd later today as well, so you can ask questions in the 20th or 3rd related to DA or directed towards our guests. So make sure you kind of put in your calendar for the 20th at 12 p.m. or the 3rd of January at 12 p.m. Pacific time. That's 3 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. UTC. Set aside those dates because we're going to have our moderator Asmodeus on the 20th as a guest. You can ask him questions about, his passion for DA and 3D design. Asmodeus, many of you may know him as Dallas RT on the Steam Workshop. He has shared hundreds of thousands of assets and has quite a bit of skill with reskinning and, configuring assets. So if you want to pick his brain about that, that might be a good time to do so. And then on the 3rd, a very, very special guest, Wim de Heer, the creator of Dungeon Alchemist, our lead artist and one of our lead developers, who essentially is one of the major driving forces behind Dungeon Alchemist. So if you want to learn more about our upcoming development, maybe get some teasers that won't be shared anywhere else, or ask questions peering behind the curtain, so to speak, as to what the devs are up to, make sure you save some time for the 3rd of January at 12 p.m. Pacific. That's 3 p.m. Eastern or 8 p.m. UTC. We've actually already announced that Asmodeus was going to be our next guest a week or so ago on stream. But yeah, it's good to know who it is coming up. That way you can get your questions in. Anyway, thank you everyone for participating in today's Mapmaker Monday. Again, my name is Mac, the community manager for Dungeon Alchemist. We're going to run a quick Dungeon Alchemist themed ad, and then we're going to end the show, okay? Thank you everyone for being here. We'll see you next time. I give a damn. Back out. Bye.
You stand before the long, dark road to the fabled realm of Goyak-Ta, and before—
Who do we see?
I don't know, a goblin.
I kill him.
But before she does, I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to know the goblin's name.
Hi, my name is Woblin.
Where do you live there, Woblin?
I don't think that's relevant.
Well, but I, Gilliam of Firth, demand to seek the goblin's abode.
Clever. Find family. Kill entire bloodline. I like it.
Seriously, we're doing this? Okay, well, won't be needing that anymore, will I?
Ever get caught by your players with your pants down? Dungeon Alchemist lets you create wonderful maps for any encounter in seconds.
Oh, Woblin, that's a very impressive cheese collection you've got there.
Yeah, it is quite impressive, yes. But you know what's more impressive? This map I have
To the fabled realm of Goyak-Ta, please take it and leave. Close the door behind you.
Mr. Woblin, I cannot help but notice that you have a secret tunnel underneath your cabinet. Care to explain?
Download Dungeon Alchemist, the AI-powered mapmaker, on Steam today.